Maybach music.
Welcome back to another Everyman Movie Critic, where we bring the love of movies back to you. And as always, it's me, Johnny B, and my cohort, Scott! I have no idea what that was all about, guys, and I do apologize.
He keeps saying he needs me to be a little bit more energetic when we do my intros. So how was that?
I might have to pause and change my shorts. But anyway, so this is going to be part 2 of our topic of video game movies. Do they really work? In last episode, we talked about Mortal Kombat 2, we mentioned Doom, we mentioned Super Mario Brothers, some of the ones that weren't considered commercial successes that one or both of us either liked or didn't like, or one liked, the other one was like, yeah, whatever. But so this episode, we're going to talk about ones that were more critical successes. And I already mentioned Resident Evil in the last video for some dumb reason, but that was one of the more critical successes. They made a lot of money in the box office in order to spawn off like 4 or 5 sequels. And I did enjoy the series overall. I do like the director. I do like Mila Jovovich. She's actually coming out with a new movie with Tony Jaa, Monster Hunters or something, and she's got like this giant bone sword. Looks like something out of like Final Fantasy or something.
Well, overall, honestly, Resident Evil movies were pretty good. I know I mentioned last time about the that I was with you in agreeing that they didn't.
I was just checking on Forky. He's been naughty.
They didn't have the same feel as what the video game was because of having a new character introduced that's not in the video games.
But I think that's what made it work, is the fact that they had a new person from a new point of view, bringing you into this world instead of giving you something you've already known. What's wrong with having a fresh take?
That is the whole thing.
As long as you bring in the normal characters from the game and make them who they were in the video game.
But they didn't. They barely made them in there. When I'm talking about things like that, is the same thing with watching a very good show that I enjoy watching on TV, Walking Dead. You have they took the comic, but they loosely based it on the comic. And by the way, we can talk about these because from what I hear now, you know, the Rick movies, they're actually going to be theater movies, not TV movies.
Yeah, they were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that for a long time ago.
But what I'm saying was like just like with this, with Resident Evil, yeah, they put the characters in there. They're in there a little bit, and they made it focused on her. The TV show with that, they loosely based it, but they killed off people that shouldn't have been killed off, and they left people alive that should have not been. And I mean, main person that died.
Well, you got to do that. They have to change. And they even said, Kirkman, who writes the comics, said, I'm going to change a lot of it. And actually, some of the ideas he came up with in the show, he decided to incorporate into the comics.
Yeah, one thing that I disagree with you on with that is that you don't have to do that. You can
Sometimes
be
you do because you don't want to give people too much prediction. Because it's going to become predictable if you know what already is going to happen.
Yeah.
So they have to shake it up. Otherwise, the people who... I mean, it won't be that way for people who don't read the comics, but a lot of the majority of the audience, I would imagine, read the comics or were inspired to read the comics because of the movies or the TV shows.
I just said that you don't have to change it. You choose to change it.
Nobody said you have to do anything. You don't except for pay taxes and die.
Well, some people don't do that.
All right, so now the reason why we also wanted to talk about good ones is because just recently, this movie, that's a video game-based movie, has now reached the $200 million mark worldwide, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog. And we won't go into Jim Carrey, because I know I don't want somebody rolling his eyes again. But that was actually a really good video game adaptation. Some people consider it one of the better adaptations. It's obviously a critical success and a financial success. Both the fans and the critics seem to both love it, so... Apparently, there's finally a little bit of connection. I mean, it's rare that it happens nowadays when the critics and the fans both like something. It's very good. I mean, but in the case of Harley Quinn, it's kind of weird to go off on that. That was a critical, and the critics liked it, the fans liked it, but it still didn't do as well as they expected it. But it's that whole, if you go woke, then you go broke kind of deal, because it was definitely a woke movie.
I didn't see either one of those two movies.
But anyway, so Sonic the Hedgehog was awesome. Go check it out. If you remember Jim Carrey from the 90s and the 80s, how he was peak Jim Carrey and he was goofball Jim Carrey and not this whatever he's become now. He brought that element back to it. So go check it out. All right. Another one that was another one of those horror video games, Silent Hill. The first one did pretty well. It did spawn a sequel. I did creep out every time I hear that siren blowing in the movie because you knew that Pyramid Head was coming out and slicing the life out of people. But then they made him a good guy in the second one. They made him a protector.
I don't know if I've seen the second one. I know
Jon
the first
Snow
one. I
was
really
in it.
liked the first one.
Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, he was in it.
Yeah, I liked the first one. The second one, I don't remember. Maybe I watched it. I don't remember.
Like the daughter of the mother from the first one went back.
I think
to that.
I did see it. Did they start off in a
Sean Bean
hotel
was in
or
it
something?
more. I don't know.
Or was that the first one that they started off in?
The first one started off with her having a car accident.
Okay, I think the second
Rodda
one they started off in a
Rodda Mitchell.
like they were in a hotel and they had to get over there. But I could be thinking about the first one. But I liked the first one. The second one I don't really remember. Yeah.
All right, so the first Mortal Kombat I thought was a good movie. It did have a lot of elements from, if you like Bruce Lee movies, Enter the Dragon. There's a guy on YouTube, Couch Tomato. Check out his channel. He does these things called 24 Reasons Why Two Movies Are the Same. And I think he should do this one, Mortal Kombat and Enter the Dragon, because if you watch those movies back to back, they're pretty doggone similar. There's three people. They go to a tournament to fight the bad guy. And there's some history from the bad guy to the main character. And that's in both of the movies. But anyway, alright, so one of the ones that was also a semi-success, Max Payne, that was with Mark Wahlberg. And I think
I didn't see that either.
That was the girl who played Jackie on that 70s show. I can never remember her name anymore. Leave a comment below. Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
That's it. She's had some hit or misses in her career on movies.
Meg.
Oh, yeah. She was Family Guy's Meg. She wasn't the original voice of Meg, though. She came on like the next season or something. But there's another girl who does the voice in the first season. You guys know what I'm talking about? Leave a comment below. Then there's two incarnations of this one. And I think the Angelina Jolie versions are much better.
Yeah.
The two that she did, Tomb Raider, she definitely was, even though she wasn't as chesty as Lara Croft, they definitely made it look that way. And the new one, they didn't even bother trying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because, I mean, not to be a perv, but that's one of the things, one of Lara Croft's assets was her large chest.
See, that part I'm not really talking about. What I was talking about was Angelina Jolie actually being...
But she did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job.
They had the look down with the hair and the sunglasses, and she even had the bodysuit. She had the two guns.
I didn't want to see the
Every
second
staple
one,
from the video game was right in there.
I didn't really want to see the second one because she wasn't in it, and to me she was...
You mean the remake? She was in the second movie. Hers.
No, I'm talking... Yeah, those two I saw. I'm talking about the...
But in the video games, the reason why they did that is because Lara Croft is more of a younger girl now, and she now uses bow and arrow a lot, so they incorporated
With
that.
all kinds of, look at Winnie the Pooh. And they got changed Christopher Robin's half a dozen times.
Unless it's a video game movie. Shh.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe there's a Winnie the Pooh video game. Is there a Winnie the Pooh
actually, yes,
video game movie out there, or a video game out there?
Mm-hmm. There actually
Winnie the
is.
Pooh Pooh.
It's not called Winnie the Pooh Pooh. That would be in his dreams. But there is Winnie the Pooh movies, and there's Winnie the Pooh
Not
video games.
Quite. I've never had a dream about Winnie the Pooh Pooh. I've had weird dreams, but none of that. And I'm actually blushing now because of you. Alright, let's move on. One of those car chasing ones, Need for Speed, that was one of the... I like that video game series. And they made a movie with it. And that was the kid from that played Jesse Pinkman in the Breaking Bad. Him trying to make solo movies now where he's the star. And he's... El Camino, which is on Netflix right now, which is the further continuation story of Breaking Bad and what happened to Jesse Pinkman. That was a decent movie. He was great in that. And Need for Speed was actually pretty good. Rami Malek, the guy who just played Freddie Mercury and won an Academy Award, he was in that. He was really good in that.
The only reason they made Need for Speed, I think, is because
And he's
of
the new villain in the new Bond movie, No Time to Die.
The only reason that they made Need for Speed, I think, is because of the success with Vin
Fast
Diesel,
and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious.
That's exactly why they did that.
They said, okay, we can make stuff off of that, feed off of that. Oh, this might be the same type of movie. But
well, yeah,
it
and
wasn't
that's
bad,
why. That's
but
probably why it didn't do as well as they would liked, because everybody was comparing it to the Fast and the Furious series. Even when the first Fast and the Furious series came out, the first movie, there was another movie that came out right around the same time called Driven, with Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good, where he played an older NASCAR driver, not Formula driver, where he was trying to train an up-and-coming young kid.
They also made a live-action movie from an anime. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it was basically the same thing, where the guys they race cars, they race down hills. The anime is very good. The movie was not so good.
What's the name?
You have to post it down below and let us know, because I don't remember.
So you're getting my disease, amnesia.
No, I just it was I can comment.
Guys, if you know what he's talking about, comment below, because I have no fucking clue.
He doesn't know much about anime.
That's not true. I know all the classics like Vampire Hunter D and Akira and all the good ones from the 80s and 90s. The ones nowadays, no. Not a big fan. I'm sure they're good. I actually am interested in seeing One Punch Man, because a lot of people say it's really good. And
It's not bad.
BoJack Horseman is another one that everybody keeps saying. Everybody's saying it's really good. All right, so then we have Assassin's Creed, which I thought people thought it was a good movie. Apparently, I was wrong. I thought that a lot of people didn't end up liking it. It was semi-successful in the theaters. I like the guy who played the main character, the guy from the new Magneto from the from the new X-Men series, and I can't think of his name. If you didn't know what he was doing, he was flexing his man boobs. Michael Fassbender. Thank you, Ian. That's my son back there playing video games in the background. If you hear a click, 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 that's what that is. He's been very good. He's too shy to come on camera. But anywho, why don't you come over here and say hi to the fans?
Hi.
Bend down a little more.
Hi.
This is my son Ian, guys. Maybe someday he'll take over this channel. He actually has his own channel where he plays video games, but he doesn't do it anymore. He was the one who semi-inspired me to do a YouTube channel. But anyway, alright, go back to your video games. Get out of here. He's playing something on Xbox. Anyway, so Assassin's Creed, and then one similar was Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia, I did see. That was
where a lot of people complained about it because it was white. They said there was a lot of whitewashing in it, making him a white guy instead of a Persian, which I kind of agree with. But
movie was good.
I liked it. Jake Gyllenhaal.
They seemed to need a new second version of it, and they didn't do it. I was disappointed with that. Assassin's Creed I didn't see, so I can't compare the two.
And it was very close to the video games. And they even did the leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody knows the video games of Assassin's Creed, you know what the leap of faith is. Where you jump off a very high tower and try to dive into some water. They call that the leap of faith. And they actually pulled it off a couple times in the movie. But then Prince of Persia had Jake Gyllenhaal, which was actually pretty decent. And they kept the elements of the video game in there, where it was running around the rooftops and jumping and doing all the stuff that Aladdin did in Aladdin. And again,
I didn't see that live action movie either.
Well, we're going to get into those Disney live action ones that they remade from older ones. Don't get me started. Alright, and then we have another one that The Rock did. Now, there's a theory out there that The Rock loves doing movies about jungles and movies with buildings in it. And it's very true with this one, and they had both, and that was Rampage. It had a jungle setting and it had a building setting in the movie. And it was actually pretty decent, and they actually threw the video game in the background, and they based what they were doing to these creatures on the video game itself, which was kind of a little on the nose. But they actually mentioned, oh yeah, we knew this video game, so we wanted to try it. But the only thing I didn't like about it is instead of having a lizard, they had a giant alligator. Lizzie the lizard, it should have been, but they made it a giant alligator. But they kept George, the giraffe, or whatever he is, ape, and then they had George the giraffe. Shut up. And then there was, of course, the wolf, which was really cool. They did a great job with those two. But they messed up with that alligator.
I loved the game. I loved all versions of the game.
So did I.
That was one of my favorites playing. I don't want to see that movie because of that. I don't think that it didn't look good to me. There wasn't anything like the game from what I could see, just in the trailers. So
Then
to
you
me,
should
it
put
just
your glasses on.
I don't need glasses. I already got my eyes fixed in '99, I believe. But besides that, it didn't look good to me. And so
What?
it was one of the movies. Yes, it did not
Hey,
look
great,
good.
and
to
it even
me.
had what's his name, Negan in it, and he did his little lean to the side that he does now, that he's now famous for, and every movie he's going to be in now, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. If you haven't already, go to his candy store. It's in Rhinebeck, New York. I don't know if you guys knew this, but him and Paul Rudd own a candy store called Samuel's Sweet Shop. And yes, that's a cheap plug. My son and I went there last summer. It's actually pretty cool. And apparently we missed Paul Rudd by one day. And I was very disappointed by that. Paul Rudd, you know, Ant-Man. Anyway, cheap plug for them. I know I'm not going to get any money for that, but it's still a great store to go to. It's a little hole in the wall, but it's worth visiting just once just to say, hey, I've been there, and take a picture up front. And say Johnny sent you, and you'll still not get a free discount or anything like that.
Yeah, no, the Rampage is basically because of that.
Did he do any? Yeah, he did Doom, and then he did Rampage. I'm sure he's going to do more, and then now he's going to do more of the. He's about to do a Disney ride, Jungle Cruise.
Ooh, The Rock?
Yeah. He loves the jungle. I'm telling you, he loves the jungle
They,
movies or building movies. Skyscraper.
Like there's a Jumanji movie.
Jumanji has buildings and and jungle in it. He really has a theme for all his movies, and there's a video on YouTube about that.
But he was no Robin Williams.
Check out the episode of, it's called Pitch Meeting from Screen Rant, and they do a one about The Rock, and they make a joke about that, the pitch meeting for The Rock himself, Dwayne Johnson, that he loves doing building movies and jungle movies. Then the last one we had on here, Angry Birds, technically a video game movie, or technically a video game, it's more of an app than anything.
Well, apps are games. They can be games. I mean,
But it's
you
so
got
two-dimensional.
You got Pokemon apps too.
Oh, that's one of the movies we didn't mention yet, Pokemon. So I lied, we're not done yet. So I want to mention Pokemon. That was actually really good. Ryan Reynolds was awesome. I mean, he was Deadpool, obviously, because that's what he's known for. But he did Deadpool and Pikachu in a PG-13 version where he couldn't swear. And that was really, and they're supposed to make a sequel of that. I don't know how they're going to do that. And if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers, Ryan Reynolds was the father, too, who possessed Pikachu. Or Mewtwo combined their consciousnness.
Pikachu doesn't need to talk. And so
He certainly does. You can't have Ryan Reynolds do that and then not do it in the second one. Because that's the reason why people saw
the person that
Pokemon.
needs to talk is going to be Meowth.
They didn't even have. They mentioned Team Rocket, but they never. They weren't in the movie.
Well, I'm just saying.
Which is
that's
it was a missed opportunity because I would have loved to seen Jesse and James in there somewhere.
Or Butch and Cassidy.
Or Butch and Cassidy, but they didn't even they stayed away from Ash and they stayed away from Brock and Misty and everything.
Well, I think there was a hint towards but it's I never played that
Where?
video game either. There was
Did I fall asleep?
there were, probably because you didn't see the posters and stuff. They were all hanging up in the rooms and stuff. But anyway, what I was saying is that there was a video game specifically called Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, that's what this was based on.
Yeah, so that's different from what the
Pokemon
things
games
are. Yeah, so I mean that's why they're not.
I was
gonna be
getting
in there.
to that it was based on Detective Pikachu. Oh my god. Alright, so last but not least, we'll talk about Angry Birds, because I'm about to become an Angry Bird in a second here, and knock down his cardboard house. And those movies were actually pretty good. Well, the first one was good. Peter Dinklage as the big eagle, that was neat. I can never remember his name. Who does the voice of the Red, the Red Bird?
It was entertaining.
Jason Sudeikis, that's it.
Definitely
He does
was
a
entertaining.
great job as that. And I think Josh Gad had a voice in there. Then the sequel was just a cash grab. I was not a fan of the sequel. It was like a 80-minute cash grab, and it just rushed right through. It didn't have any of the awesomeness of the first one.
I didn't see it. I do know that, or at least I heard that one of my daughter's favorite singers, JoJo Siwa, was in it. Was a voice in it, one of the birds. But other than that,
I have no idea who that is.
she's a singer. She's also on Lip Sync
I
Battle
know
Shorties
that.
and
Are you plugging in a YouTube channel?
no,
I thought that was a YouTube channel.
Lip Sync Battle Shorties.
Yeah.
No, that's a TV show on like Nick or something like that. But it's
Well, our audience is more 30s and 40s probably, so they probably have no idea.
if they got kids, they might.
All right, so if you're one of my 30 to 40-year-old fans that watch the series, recommend it to your kids. And we're still not getting any royalties from Nick, which is a shame. Maybe someday when we're monetized. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for video game movies. Do they really work? I think we've not really proven a point, but it's all subjective anyway, whether something is good or bad. As Scott has said several times, it doesn't matter how much money a movie makes in the box office. If you liked it, you liked it. And that's what this channel is about, bringing the love of movies back to you and getting you excited about seeing movies. And stop listening to critics, or listen to critics, and then make your own opinion anyway.
You're your own critic.
Be your own critic, exactly. And that's what this channel is. We are our own critics. We just share our opinions, and if you happen to agree, great. If not, leave in the comments below. So, all right. Again, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Part 2 of video games. Do they really work? I know I said that 7 times now. And if you like what you saw and you want to see more great content, make sure to subscribe. Turn on notifications for new videos. We post on Sunday, and if there's ever a part 2 of a series that we're doing, we'll post it on Wednesday. Hit the like button. And if we get up to 20 likes, I'm going to shave this hair off.
No, he's not. You can get a
You guys
million
want to
likes.
bet?
Yes.
I'm going to shave that beat right off.
You can get a million likes and he won't touch my hair.
20. That's all I need, guys. All right, leave a comment below if you want me to see Scott's head get shaved right on the show, or if I want to do it on the side and he could look like me, and nice and clean shaven. It's sexy.
Or if you want him to have a wig on that covers up his shine.
You can't shade my shine. Remember that. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you next time.